Hi everyone, this is Bjorn Strid from the Night Flight Orchestra, and you're listening to Collision on Voice FM. Hello, it's Bjorn.
Hi Bjorn, it's Kat. How are you?
Good. How are you? Good to hear from you again.
Yeah, I was actually trying to quickly look up when the last time we spoke was, and I couldn't find it because I'm having...
No, it hasn't been that long, I think.
Yeah, I think it was the last album.
Yeah.
Which wasn't long ago. And you actually, with the last album, you got nominated for a Swedish Grammy Award. How did that go?
Well, that was nuts. I didn't expect that. I mean, I knew we had something special with this album, but, I think we maybe have been close with Soilwork before, because, we've been around for 20 years. And then I put together this band, and we released our first album on Nuclear Blast and gets Grammy nominated. It's kind of funny how things work out sometimes. But, yeah, we were definitely blown away. That was really cool.
Well, hopefully, and actually probably rightly, this new album should actually win the Grammy Award.
Okay, all right. Thanks for saying that. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's an amazing album, and it is so 80s inspired, and yeah. I guess it's as much fun as Soilwork is serious.
Yeah. How
does it feel to you, because you're in a totally different space when you're in the Night Flight Orchestra?
Yeah, I mean... It's sort of like a 50-50 deal with me, I think both of these bands that I have, they really represent me, and my personality. So, the switch is fairly easy, it's, I don't know, there's that inner switch that just gets switched in a very natural way somehow. And I think this is something, Night Flight is something that's been there the whole time, sort of bubbling within and that came out. And I'm definitely sort of high on that fact too, so it's very easy. It's a totally different expression, and I think I just feel really, really balanced, and I think David can agree with that as well, who's been with me in Soilwork now for, it's more than 10 years, so I think this is definitely something that we needed to do, and it just keeps on going, and we never really leave the studio, that's one of the reasons why this new album comes out only 1 year after Amber Galactic as well.
Yeah, because I guess growing up, you were only a child in the 80s, so in a way maybe Soilwork's the adult Bjorn and the Night Flight Orchestra is the child in you.
It could be. That's actually that's a really good point. I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah. Well, I wonder,
that could be the case, yeah.
You've got some backup singers now that you're calling the Airline Annas, and you are the Night Flight Orchestra. So do you actually sell tickets to your live show, or do you sell boarding passes?
Well, we have been thinking about it. We did print up boarding passes for it because we have our own sort of fictive airline, NFO Air, and we printed up boarding passes for our meet and greet on the European tour, where we had sort of, right before going on stage, we were drinking champagne with the crowd, and everybody got sort of a boarding card sent home to their address, and then they had to bring that with them to the actual show, and there was sort of a check-in with the Airline Anna at the door. So I think that worked out really well.
Yeah.
It was fun. People loved it.
Well, the whole band sounds like fun. Actually, the first single this time, you've got a video out for that, and there's something very familiar in the video. Is that actually an homage to one certain video, or is it a collection of 80s videos?
Well, I would say it's more like a homage. It's of course we're having a laugh, but it's really something that we love. I just love videos. I remember we watched it, we were going through all of the Rick Springfield early 80s video catalog, and that's how videos are supposed to be, If you watch new videos, they're way too pretentious and everything is crystal clear, and it's there's just something so dreamy about it, and of course there's, nostalgia involved, and obviously, I understand that we sort of need to move forward as well, but I think this is somehow refreshing, even though it looks really old, and that's because that's how we want things to be, whether we're having a laugh or not, it comes from love in the end.
Well, they say everything old is new again, and, everything does sort of have its time to come back around, and 80s music's always been popular. And you mentioned Rick Springfield, who is an Australian, isn't he?
Yeah, that's a good question. Is he? He might be. Yeah.
I think
he was in Neighbours too, wasn't he?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I think he was popular, lived in America, but he's from Australia originally. So.
I love Rick Springfield. I need to look that up right now. Hold on. I'm looking it up. I'm very curious about that.
That's
Yes,
okay.
Australian. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah, so then, well, when you guys go into, well, this time was actually, I saw your video, you wrote that before the last album, but all the other material's been written since, and you said you don't hardly get out of the studio. So is that kind of like stepping into your fantasy world when you guys are in the studio?
A little bit like that, yeah. I mean, it's something that we really look forward to, and we don't like to be away from each other too long, you know. So we always have those recording sessions, and it's kind of funny because this morning when I woke up, and like so many other people, I open up my Facebook. It's the worst idea ever to start your day without opening up Facebook on your phone. But it was a pretty funny picture, you know, from 1 year ago, and it was a post by Nightlight Orchestra saying we couldn't stay out of the studio. Our sincere apologies. So that was a year ago. So that means that the first thing we did after Amber Galactic was released, we just went into the studio, you know.
Yeah.
So that sort of shows what we're all about. Because we have two producers in the band with their own studios. So it's very easy to get access to the studio rather than just, you know, having to sit down. It's like, okay, guys, it's time to book a studio. We need to write our new album. It doesn't work like that at all. You know,
actually having your own studio and producers can quite often make bands like over perfectionist and make work take longer to get out. But you guys are more professional than that, and you.
Yeah, I mean, we try to be spontaneous still, even though, I mean, we could sit there for, you know, years, of course. But I think there is this sort of, we work a lot with arrangements and sounds. And I think the mixes are actually taking longer than the actual songwriting, you know, because that's something that it's just like we need to be a little bit sort of spontaneous as well. And, you know, not everything we record is like perfection, you know, there are mistakes, and I think that's okay. You hear that a lot on albums from that era as well. You know?
Yeah.
So it's, so we try to not be too, you know, obsessed with it.
Your guitarist,
lives, you know.
Sebastian, he does your mixing as well.
Yeah, he does.
Actually, I was watching your videos, which were talking about your track by track, and unfortunately you haven't released the final one yet with the last 3 tracks on it. But
that's true.
There was one that you said David wrote, Lovers in the Rain. Did he actually write the lyrics, or was it the music he wrote for that?
No, he actually wrote the lyrics for that one as well.
Right. So is it like with the other lyrics and that, are they all you, or is it everyone having input into that?
I would say that it's like 80% David, and and the rest is it's usually me and David who does the lyrics.
Right. Is that how it worked in Soilwork? Did you like co-write with someone on the lyrics?
I have done that with David as well on the latest albums. But in the past, it's all been me. But like first, I think it started with The Living Infinite, where I worked with David, and he wrote a few songs, lyric-wise, and so I think I think we work really well together, both musically and also lyrically, both for Soilwork and Nightlight. So we've become quite a team when it comes to that.
Yeah, because you think after 20 years of being the one who wrote all the lyrics that you might have some control issues over that, but you obviously don't.
No, I'm not that kind of guy. It's kind of interesting, you know. I'm not very stubborn when it comes to that. If it's something good, I'm very objective and, really, really open to let people in to my world. And I mean, David knows me so well on a personal level as well. I mean, I think we talked about that on Amber Galactic. There are actually times when he writes lyrics about me and what's going on in my life, sort of what he sees, which is pretty interesting. You don't hear about that a lot.
Yeah. I'm just looking like with your backup singers and that, I'm trying to count 1, 2, 3, 4. You got 8 people in the band. Do your backup singers travel with you on the road as well? Are you going to be bringing them overseas?
Yes, they do.
So it's a lot of people to get to somewhere like Australia.
Yes, it is. Yeah, I mean, it might be a problem, but I mean, we definitely need to bring our backup singers. I mean, ever since we added that to sort of the show and also now a little bit of the album, it is so much better, and it's something that we sort of envisioned as well. We wanted to bring a real rock show the way it was meant to be, and not a lot of bands have backup singers anymore. And it just sounds so much better, and it's just so much more fun, in the end.
Yeah. And well, what's it like actually having the females as part of the band now? Because you've never had females in your band in the past.
No, it's very interesting. It gives the band a whole new dimension, also on a sort of like on a personal level as well. We were doing our first European tour right before Christmas last year, and it was a completely different thing that I was used to. It was almost like that scene in, I don't know if you've seen Almost Famous, the movie.
Oh, I think I did a long time ago.
Yeah, there's this scene where they're sitting in the front of the tour bus and everybody's singing along to Tiny Dancer by Elton John. It's sort of like that entertain on the road.
So,
no, but I mean,
I was going to say everyone behaves themselves a little bit more when the girls are around, and it's a bit more fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Or it actually gets worse. I don't know. I mean, you can really, I don't know if people were holding back that much, because the girls they're just as bad themselves, I guess. But I mean, it's a really great vibe, and I think it brings some flair to the whole touring experience as well.
I reckon actually that scene from Almost Famous in the bus, that could be your next video.
Yeah. That's true. We could do that. There you go.
But is there any chance that we will be seeing you guys over this side of the world in any time soon?
Well, we're definitely working on it. It's definitely in the plans. It's obviously a matter of budget, but that's definitely one of our dreams, and I think it could go over very well in Australia as well. And we sort of aim to carry on that ABBA legacy that was sort of dominating in down under, the Arrival album and all that, in the late 70s and early 80s, so we feel that we're carrying that legacy a little bit.
Well, yeah,
there is a lot of ABBA in Night Flight Orchestra as well. And
the 80s are still huge in Australia, so like the 80s music, so you should go down really well here. So we look forward to it happening. Yeah. And I think we've said in the past that you love Japan and that, and I'm guessing Japan love the Night Flight Orchestra because you've got bonus track if people order the special CD or the vinyl, but for Japan you've got 2 bonus tracks. Yeah, that's always been the case with like, as long as I can remember. Same with Soilwork, so they don't have to get all the imports. That's usually why they get like a bonus track, because it's licensed to a label in Japan. But I mean, we've definitely gotten a really good response from Japan as well. But if a tour is going to happen, I do not know yet, but it's definitely in the plans. So if we're in Japan, we might as well go to Down Under. You might as well. You're close enough. Yeah, might as well. It is like if people pre-order or order the limited edition Digipack, which is limited on CD, or the vinyl, then you get the bonus track Marjorie, which I have not heard, obviously, because I didn't get the limited edition. Right. And it's actually released on the 29th of June, and I'm guessing those limited edition ones probably will sell out pretty quickly, so people should go and pre-order that through Nuclear Blast. Yes. What would you like to say to your fans of both the Night Flight Orchestra and Soilwork to get them to check out this latest album if they haven't already checked out the Night Flight Orchestra? Well, I mean, for everyone who liked Amber Galactic, I think this is definitely a continuation, but with some surprises, some twists and turns. I don't know, it's slightly more diverse, and we've been working a little bit more with 80s keyboards as well, and it has even more of a sort of a film rock feel to it. And for anyone who enjoys soundtracks from the 80s, I think this album will definitely remind you of some of those soundtracks as well. It has that sort of dreamy feel. So, people will like it. And as you mentioned in the video, escapism, there's a lot of that feeling in there. Yes. Yeah. And you mentioned Fleetwood Mac, Rio Speedwagon, Alan Parsons and Kiss, and also in this interview you've mentioned Rick Springfield. So it sounds like you've drawn a lot of influences from a lot of different 80s bands. Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute mess. I mean, there's so many influences to be sort of channeled, and at the same time, it feels like we've hijacked an era and made it into our own. It needs to be something personal, and I think it is. I think we have created a little bit of our own genre because it's been really hard for us to sort of
find bands that are in sort of the same genre to tour with, especially new bands, obviously. There's a bunch of the old bands that are still touring that could work as well. But it seems like we're sort of doing our own thing, even though there's so many references that you can throw around.
See, now you're getting into my head, because I was just going to ask about, it must be interesting trying to find bands to have on the same bill as the Night Flight Orchestra, because they're a totally different type of band than you'd look for Soilwork. So your old networks don't help you at all.
No, I mean, it is hard, but then again, it doesn't have to sound exactly the same. I think that's the beauty of Night Flight Orchestra as well, that we could tour with so many bands, from totally different genres. I think we could tour with Ghost too. I mean, you've probably heard the new singles, and it sounds very 80s.
Right, yeah.
Actually, and I think that could work, for example,
Yeah, but you have members of Soilwork and Arch Enemy. You're not going to be touring with either of those bands anytime soon, I'm guessing.
No, I don't think that could work.
No.
That would be a little too much, I think.
Well, it seems to me I've spoken to you numerous times for Soilwork and a couple of times for the Night Flight Orchestra, but I definitely can really feel that sense of fun that you've got with this band and adventure. It sounds like you're on an adventure and it's only just the beginning.
Yeah, that's definitely what it feels like.
Yeah, and I guess if you had one of your tracks written before the last album, have you got a couple in your pocket already for the next album that didn't make it to this one?
Well, I spoke to David a couple of days ago, and he said, I already have 5 new songs for the next album. So there you go.
So you're going to be getting in the studio before this one's even released.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah, we're planning to get together this summer. So, yeah.
Awesome. Well, it is a great album, and I'd recommend anyone who loves music, rock music, 80s music, any type of music that's not as heavy, that's a little bit lighter and a lot more fun, to definitely go and check out the Night Flight Orchestra. Sometimes the World Ain't Enough, which was that inspired by a Bond movie?
No, not really. There's a lot of people, sort of assuming that there's a James Bond connection. There isn't. It's more connected to the covers. Abergalactic, we have this girl who's sort of trying to make up her mind. She seems kind of curious about space. She's holding the helmet, and then on Sometimes the World Ain't Enough, the helmet is on and the spacesuit is on, and she sort of made up her mind and came to the realization that sometimes the world ain't enough. So that's the connection there.
So you're escaping the world on this album?
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully that flight is going to make it to Australia real soon, and we can have another chat when it does.
Yes. That would be fantastic.
You don't actually have a personal website for the Night Flight Orchestra. You've only got your Facebook and your Nuclear Blast page. So
yes,
people should definitely go and check you out on facebook.com/The Night Flight Orchestra Official is the title.
Yes, please do.
Even if you Google the Night Flight Orchestra, you'll find it, because it's a unique name, which is very difficult to find these days.
It is very difficult, yeah.
Awesome. It's always great talking to you, and I definitely do look forward to chatting to you again very soon, because I'm sure that there's so much more that you guys are going to be doing in the future.
Oh, yes, it's a very creative unit, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of things lined up.
And can you tell us when we can expect the second single?
The second single should come out sometime early June, I think.
We will have to definitely keep an eye out on the Night Flight Orchestra Facebook page, and we can find out as soon as that hits I was going to say the shelves. They don't hit the shelves singles anymore. as soon as it hits the digital world.
Yeah, or the vinyl is going to hit the shelf, so there's that at least.
That's on the 29th of June, so people can go and pre-order that now from Nuclear Blast, and they definitely should do that, because it is definitely a fun and interesting, and like you say, it's an album full of escape from what not always a fun world these days. Thank you very much. I'd better let you go, because I'm sure you've got more interviews lined up.
Yeah, there's another one right now. So, but thank you so much, and it was really nice to talk to you again.
Look forward to it next time. See you later.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.